Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. We've got Outlaws of Thunder Junction now, and whenever a new set enters Standard, I try to get comfortable with it by cooking up some budget decks. I usually start by looking at the gold uncommons because they often are good build-around cards, and they can really show off a set's themes and mechanics. And sometimes you will find a fun or surprising synergy with some older cards in the format. Which brings me to the question, can we get a frog to commit some crimes? And my answer for this one is not really, but we can get pretty close, and I'm going to show you how with a little help from our sponsor, TCG Home. It all starts right here with Intimidation Campaign, a blue and black uncommon enchantment from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life, we gain 1 life, and we draw a card. Then, whenever we commit a crime, we can return this to our hand, from whereupon we can cast it again, of course, drain more life, draw more cards. You get the idea. But what if we could accelerate that process, maybe with some help from a big slippery frog? That idea brought me to Tatsunari from Neon Dynasty, because whenever we cast an enchantment spell, he will create for us Keimi, a legendary 3/3 black and green frog creature token with, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So the general idea is play Tatsunari, play campaign, create frog, commit crime, recast campaign, repeat until victory. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward plan, and we can support it a ton of different ways. Deep Cavern Bat targets our opponent's hand, so it is a crime, and it can take away anything that they might use to boil our frog. Blood Hustler, another newcomer from Thunder Junction. She gets bigger as we commit crimes, and, perhaps more importantly, she can self-enable, meaning we can pay 4 mana to drain 1 life from our opponent, which itself is a crime, which will put counters on her, and return the campaign to our hand if that somehow got stuck on the battlefield. I'm also testing out Phantom Interference as a way to protect our frog, because guess what? Countering something, also a crime. And finally, I am putting my budget Shieldred in here, Gixian Puppeteer, who works really great with the campaign because that draws us our extra card, which triggers even more life drain through this guy. Oh, and if he dies, he can bring back a Tatsunari, so nice little insurance package there as well. The rest of the deck can be just about anything. I'm experimenting with a mix of removal spells and even some small enchantments that will trigger our frog. Coming up with ideas for this one was pretty easy because I used TCG Home and then just tagged everything with Crime Frog, which really helped me find everything I needed. You can use TCG Home too. It is free to sign up and runs in any browser, so you can access it from your computer or favorite mobile device, and then be able to see pricing information, Oracle text, and organize things with tags wherever you play your favorite games. Check out TCG Home using my link down below and hold on to your frogs because we're jumping over to Arena to see if we can get this little croaker to commit some crimes. Okay, here we go with standard crime frogs. We've got both of our colors, some early interaction. We have our signature card. I think this is as good as it gets. Let's see how we do. Opponent opening on Thundering Falls. They get to surveil 1. Look at that, using a rare land. How desperate do you have to be? We just have commons and uncommons. We got the deserts in here, and that's about it. All right, so let's see if they're setting up the slick shot, hot shot guy, because that would hurt a lot. All right, so we have a Life of Toshiro Umezawa. That's really more to trigger with Kami, but I think we're going to want some of this life gain here, so we'll do that now. This is also capable of committing a crime because it can give a creature our opponent controls -1/-1. Yeah, I think we're just going to keep gaining life, and we will use this opportunity to drop in our Intimidation Campaign. It's going to ping our opponent for 1, gain us 1, and we drew another campaign. So now on our next turn, we could just play Skyward Springs. It'll do a damage to the opponent. That's a crime. That lets us pick up the other campaign, and we could just replay it if that's the way we want to do this. Or we could drop a 4th regular land and play our Puppeteer. We don't have anything in the graveyard for him to bring back yet, so that's a little less useful. I think I like playing our second campaign, then dropping our land. Now we get to pick both of these back up. And now we just got to discard something, so I think we can give up an island here. We still got some removal. We got 2 campaigns that we can just kind of keep chaining. We don't really have a good way to interact with enchantments, though, in this deck. All right, do we take the trade here? I think we do, actually, because this guy's not going to do a whole lot for us otherwise. We want to keep their board clear, so that way we can just kind of stay on top of things. Now, they're going to bring back their Blade of... was it shared? There it is. Blade of Shared Souls. So that'll come back with a little buddy, but that's okay. I think we can just do one of the campaigns. And then we're going to end here. So they get a hasty 3/2. We could Infernal Grasp that. And they are playing a Simulacrum Synthesizer. When it enters Scry 2, whenever another artifact with mana 3 or greater enters, create a construct. Okay, that's actually fine. So I guess it doesn't really do a whole lot of good to kill this, other than we get to pick up our campaign again. Because this only kills the token, and at the end of the turn they're going to flicker the equipment anyway. And get that back. And we lose 2 life instead of 3, but that's fine. Alright, we found Lazav. Kind of a fun, spicy inclusion here. He also cares about crimes. So we could just drop Blood Hustler and try to keep draining them out. Or we could just use the campaigns to do it. I guess we got 6, so we can just double campaign here. Feels pretty good. Alright, we found Tatsunari, so maybe now we can really start to pop off with these things. Although the fact that they are going to, like, keep making tokens every turn is a little alarming. Our deck can do pinpoint crimes. We don't really have, like, board wipes or mass removal of any sort. A second Nahiri's Resolve. Okay. Alright, so they take out their own artifacts. I think we're okay with that. We're going to play Tatsunari. And maybe a Blood Hustler. Okay. So they are going to bring back their sword, make a construct. They both have haste. I think we're going to bounce at least one of them with Rona's Vortex here. Because they're just tokens. And they want to get lost our Tatsunari. So I think in response to that, we'll try and get Keimi. Keimi? How do you even pronounce his... Keimi? I could also just bounce Tatsunari. I think it's okay if he dies, because then Puppeteer can bring him back, and... Oh, right, we don't get the frog until we actually cast an enchantment, so... Okay. Well, they're at 14, we're at 25, so I'm actually okay taking a hit for 4 here. We just got to get our sequencing right. We could also play Lazav and make copies of... Well, I guess that's not a great idea. Serona's Vortex. Return target creature or planeswalker you don't control to its owner's hand. If this spell was kicked, put it on the bottom of their library. So it doesn't hit artifacts or enchantments. We picked up another Tatsunari. We don't have enough to play 2 campaigns. But we can do one. And then do I want to fire this off on their token or save it? I think we'll get rid of this now. So that's a crime. Brings this back, grows our Hustler, sets us up really good for next turn. Lets us get in some more damage. Alright, so far this deck is doing exactly what I wanted it to do. We've got Tatsunari, we've got some campaigns, we're able to kind of loop them with our crimes. We've got the Hustler holding down things here, and we can sink a ton of mana into her to trigger a crime if we need it. All I'm really worried about is like a mass board wipe, and that's exactly what our opponent has. Yep. Alright. So fortunately, the campaigns help us rebuild pretty quickly here, because we just keep drawing more cards and draining them out more. I think we do that first. And then I kind of like playing the Puppeteer, because if they kill it, we get Tatsunari back. Okay. We're down to 9. We're at 23. Scry 2. Keep both on top. What is this? When Assimilation Aegis enters battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature. Oh, it's like an Oblivion Ring. Oh. Alright, so we were in really good shape, but now our opponent is popping off and made a million giant tokens. That was gonna be a really good game. It was a good game, but I guess we just didn't stabilize quite the way we needed to. So let's try it again. Okay, Froggy Crimes, here we go. Let's hop to it. We've got our colors, we've got our campaign, we've got Tatsunari. I think this is what we're hoping for, so let's see how it goes. I mean, I like saving this as a crime, but I also want access to blue mana, so I guess we'll use it now. Opponent answers back with a Skull Dweller. Okay, this is actually fine, because Life of Toshiro can give that -1/-1 and get rid of it. Alright, and now next turn, do we drop Toad Rider and follow that up with the campaign? Or do we just do campaign first and suspect they're going to have removal? Oh man, it's just infect again, but hey, guess what? We get to 2 for 1, killed 2 things with our guy. Alright, well, we're going to try Tatsunari here. Opponent finds their 3rd land. And let's see what they got for removal on their side. They go for the throat. Somewhat expected. Okay, so now... I think now we play our Puppeteer, so if they kill that, we get Tatsunari back. And they concede. They cannot handle the value of the Crime Frog. Oh, okay, we'll have to see it. Let's go again. Alrighty, Crime Frog. We got a couple of lands, some cheap spells, and then like the top end of our curve. So hopefully we pick up some more lands before then, but let's see how it goes. I like Blood Hustler, I like Cut Down, There's just one in the deck. I don't like to overload on these things, but early game, this is exactly when we want to see it. Especially against a white deck. Okay. So do I just nuke this guy like right now? Nah, I think we save that, right? I think so. I think so. We're gonna put down our Hustler. Would be nice to pick up a third land, but if not, we can probably cut something down, grow her. We might be all right. All right, Boros, Mirror Shield, Hoplite. Cool. All right, we did find a third land. So now I kind of like using cut down to get rid of their Hoplite. And this lets us safely attack with our Hustler. Okay. And now depending on what they play, we've got an Infernal Grasp in our pocket to deal with just about anything. It is Delny. Okay, that is definitely a good target for our removal. And so the cool thing about the Hustler is that she gets a counter once per turn if we do a crime. So trying to pace our removal so some of it lands on our opponent's turn and some of it's on our own turn, kind of important. I think I want to try Tatsunari here. Although a case could be made for keeping that second Infernal Grasp. Alright, opponent having no trouble finding their lands. And are they going to answer Tatsunari? Just an inspiring Overseer. Interesting. Alright, we pick up Lazav, who is cool, but doesn't super help us here. I think we just jam the attack and see how opponent wants to play it. Curious, they go for the double block on the thing that grows. So I think we spend removal. And then we get really a 2-for-1 and keep the pressure on them. Feeling okay. Especially if opponent's just playing 1/2s. Ah, Barid. Okay, so this is a cool card. Because during their end step, they will have a creature with greater than normal power, so now they're just going to start going wide on tokens, which might be a little harder for us to deal with. I don't think I want to drop the Puppeteer quite yet. Lazav could be interesting. Could also just manually crime with the Blood Hustler. Make her a 5/5. Well, let's see what our opponent does if we swing in. Because they got to respect the fact that we can grow this, so they can't put all of their blockers on it. And if they want to give up 2 things to kill Tatsunari, I think I'm okay with that, because we have another one waiting. Meanwhile, what did they play? Connecting the dots. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile the top of your library face down. Oh, okay. Alright, so they're just going to chump block our Hustler. And I think we're going to actually play our Lazav. Another great budget card. You know, he's only uncommon. Whenever we commit a crime, put a 1/1 counter on him, then exile a card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, he can become a copy of it. So I'm probably going to, like, copy their flying Overseer? I think we'll just block the token. Right, because now we can use Blood Hustler's activated ability to perform a crime, commit a crime. She'll get bigger. Lazav gets to become a flyer for a turn. I mean, I guess we do need to be careful. Our life is 30 14. That's not a ton. And they are starting to clog us up with like tokens for chump blocking and stuff. But if we can just get these last 4 points of damage. And they can't like swing with everything. Although I guess this makes tokens and this will make tokens. So they will have blockers. Yeah. Alright. Campaign. Or do we just play Puppeteer? I mean, we don't have anything he can bring back if he dies. But he is just big, right? Like, he kind of discourages attacks. Campaign, though, might find us more lands. Alright, I don't think we're attacking here. We're just going to try to hold down... Oh yeah, playing Campaign, it did get us our frog, so that's actually good. Now we have some more bodies. Vampire's Kiss is another spicy inclusion in here. It is a crime. It is a drain card. Creates blood tokens, which lets us kind of cycle through our deck a little more efficiently. I'm trying out a bunch of different like 1-ofs and 2-ofs in here just to kind of audition different cards that fit with the theme. I mean, this is kind of life drain, crime. It does a lot, but there's only 1 in here. Maybe I should go up to like 2 or 3. All right, opponent doesn't want to overcommit. They are attacking with some tokens. And then, yeah, they get to draw a bunch of cards. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so we need to, like, absorb all of these, right? Or as many as we can, which is 2. Okay, so they killed our Hustler. They only have 3 life left, though. Vampire's Kiss will do 2 damage to them. Alright. I mean... I think that's the play. Triggers crime. Let's move back. We can exile. I mean, I don't think this super matters, but sure. Alright, is there a way to deal 1 more point of damage? They got flyers, so even if we make our frog fly, that's not going to help us. I think I'm going to try to blood our way into something here. Oh, that's 1 land. Okay. I do have a blue enchantment in here that costs just 1, which would have killed them with the frog, but we didn't get there. So are we just dead now? This was so close. I just came up 1 short. Are you kidding me? Alright, they kill Lazav. And I don't think we have enough to block everything. Especially because Anim makes like a ton of tokens now. Gross. Alright, well, block the 2/2. Block that, so I'm taking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, that was... It's so close! So close, though! Alright. One more time. Okay, crime frog. Here we go. We've got our frog, we've got our crime, we've got some other crimes. Oh man, this actually looks great. This might be the best opening hand we've had yet. Do we start with our Scoured Springs? I think we do, because we need the black mana. And then double swamps. Deathcap Marionette. Sure. Welp. I don't think I want to burn Vampire's Kiss just yet. Maybe I do. We want to use our mana effectively, so we'll spend that. Alright, so the next turn, is it one of the Tatsunaris? I think it has to be, right? There's not really much point in playing the campaign first. The whole point is that this guy makes the frog when you're playing enchantment. Oh dear, we're up against this thing, this strategy. Okay. Well, this kind of changes things because we could play the Hustler and then use Weak Stone Subjugation, which is a crime. But again, I really want to get like Tatsunari train rolling. Even if we have to eat some damage here. Okay. Curious why they're playing these without like milling themselves. We don't get to keep Tatsunari, that's for sure. Okay, so now I think the plan is Tatsunari, and then Weak Stone Subjugation to tap Gix. Why not? Now Gix will never untap, which, I mean, his ability still works, so this doesn't really remove him. And maybe this should be... There's another, like, blue enchantment that, like, turns the... Witness Protection, right? Turns it into a 1/1 with no abilities. Maybe that would be better. I thought, like, just tapping something and removing it would be the best, but maybe this should be a different cheap enchantment. Alright, so they're coming in with the Marionette. Do we care? I guess we gotta get rid of these somehow. I don't want them to just keep drawing cards. I'm sure they've got a way to answer Tatsunari anyway. Yep. Bummer. Okay. Alright, Blood Hustler, Deep Cavern Bat. That's a crime. Get something out of their hand. Not worried about it, not worried about it, not worried about it. I guess we take away Gix's command. So we gotta sack something. I guess we give up the Hustler here, right? And I guess we block. Okay, so now we get to campaign. And we can... Ooh. Alright, so this is Extract the Truth. We can choose to have opponent reveal their hand, and then they have to discard a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. Which doesn't really help us. So I think we're just going to wait and maybe use Phantom Interference here if they try to get cheeky with something. I mean, the fact that this gets to hit us and then they get to draw. We're kind of falling behind in the cards arm race, but... But like life-wise, we're doing swell. We're doing great. Oh my god, what are they crafting? Alright, so Tithing Blade becomes... At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Maybe I should have that in this deck. I don't know. We find Cut Down. I mean, this is actually a good time to use that because we can kill their thing, pick up our campaign again, cast our campaign again. And I think I'm going to Blood Away Extract the Truth because I don't know that it's really helpful in this matchup. A desert, though, makes me look like a genius. Alright. 11-17 now after taking our hit from the artifact. kind of an interesting take on it. All these Death Touch creatures, along with Gix, makes me not really want to block any of them. So we've got 6, so I think it's Tatsunari and immediately the campaign, which gets us our frog. Even if they kill him. Alright, well, at least we're on the board with something. Alright. So the problem now, though, is that we know they're holding Gix's command. Or ways to make a sacrifice, and we don't have the mana to even try to counter this. So I guess we lose our frog buddy. Okay, so now that they've got like a ton of mana, I don't know if Phantom Interference is really going to be useful. Like, I'm thinking about using the blood token to get rid of it, but maybe I'll try keeping it. So to maximize this, we need 3, 4, 5 mana. So I guess we can blood away one of these. Puppeteer. Okay, that's actually fine. Because now if they kill this guy, now we do get Tatsunari back. And so even if we can't actually counter this, I'm still gonna use Phantom Interference here because it still is a crime targeting their spell, so we still get campaign back. And it forces them to use up... They probably won't be able to like double spell this turn after doing the command. Alright, so I get to put counters on somebody. We get to bring back Tatsunari. And we're not blocking a 3/5. Man, that Gix is doing a ton of work. Alright, if I do another game, I'm definitely changing out Weakstone Subjugation. I did not really consider how much better something like Witness Protection probably is here. Alright, find me something good. Not a land. No. Do I spin this wheel again? Do I kill their Gix? I think I kill this thing. Because then I can attack? And I can replay the campaign, which is what we want. Now we get more life, more cards, more everything. Alright, opponent to 7, but these are about to flip that to 9. Yeah, 9/9. We're probably not blocking this 3/5. Okay, they go to 8. Very good grip of cards. They have Shieldred now. Oh gosh. Interesting. Okay, let's see if we can do this correctly. So we play Springs. So that's a crime. That does 1. We play Campaign. They're going to lose another one. They're down to 6. kill Shieldred. Which is a crime and returns our campaign. We're down to 2. Do we just attack and win? Do they have removal here? What do you got, opponent? I hope it costs more than 2 mana. Oh my gosh. Alright, they tapped out for Black Sun, so now we can interference, counter that unless they pay. They're gonna take 6 damage, and we got there! We got there with our Crime Frogs! That was so cool! Alright, let's take one last look at the deck and talk about final thoughts. Okay, here is my budget-friendly Crime Frog deck built around Intimidation Campaign. I mean, I really like this card a lot. It is fun to repeatedly trigger and just generate value over value, draining life, drawing cards. It's really, really cool, especially when partnered up with Tatsunari and his little frog buddy, because every time we replay that enchantment, we get to drain more life, and it just stacks up so quickly. So these were great together, and cool thing about this deck, there's very few rares in it, but the ones that are here are like under $1. So if you want to make this in paper, it's going to be pretty darn cheap. It's a little more awkward on Arena, being that these are going to take rare wildcards, and Neon Dynasty is going to rotate out in a couple of months, so it might not be the best investment, but if you've got these in your collection already, I mean, this is a pretty easy deck to put together. The other rares are, what, just a couple of Gixian Puppeteers? Even those don't really have to be in here. They just are a much cheaper version of Shieldred, and they work pretty well with the campaign, right? Because when we play that, we draw an extra card, which could be our second for the turn, which could trigger more life drain with the Puppeteer, and when he dies, he brings back Tatsunari, so this nice little triangle of cards here works really, really well together. And from there, it's just a matter of supporting that with crimes and more enchantments where we can fit them in. I mean, I was trying out Weakstone's Subjugation, but after our lesson in our last game, I'm already looking at, where is it? Witness Protection instead. It's another cheap aura that turns the enchanted creature into a 1/1. And like that would still trigger our frog, and it is a crime, which would also trigger Intimidation Campaign. So that's probably an upgrade. And then along with that, we've got Phantom Interference, which was clutch in our last game, being able to counter something. Never used this to make a spirit, but we could as well if we desperately need a 2/2 flyer. I was trying out a few copies of Rona's Vortex here. I've just always liked this card. It's very flexible. It can bounce stuff early, and then late game when you got extra mana, it can put something on the bottom of your opponent's deck where you are unlikely to see it again. It's an instant, and it's a crime, so checks a lot of boxes for me. Single copy of Cut Down. I don't like to overdo it with this because power and toughness 5 or less, this kind of gets stuck in your hand, and we don't really have any way to discard it for value or anything. So this is a little bit of a risky inclusion, but I wanted, again, some cheap crimes to fuel things like Blood Hustler, one of my other favorite cards in this deck. I love how she enables herself, enables crimes, which can then bounce Intimidation Campaign back if we need it, or trigger some of our other crime cares about cards. So this is just a solid 2-drop role player along with the Deep Cavern Bat. Again, an uncommon that is super valuable. Flying and lifelink are great together. Plucking a card out of our opponent's hand can help protect our board. And it is a crime on a stick, which is awesome. Trying out a couple of Extract the Truth here, just so we have a way to, interact with opponents' enchantments, or to just make them discard stuff out of their hand that we're worried about facing. But this could be anything. This could be duress. This could be more removal. This could be whatever. This is definitely a flex slot. A couple of Infernal Grasps here. We do have some life gain to kind of offset. I guess we have a lot with our drains through our frog and through our campaign. So 2 life isn't too bad. You could also do the one that costs 3 life, but then can also hit planeswalkers if that's something you're more interested in doing. But again, very flexible removal package here. Life of Toshiro Umezawa, also pretty good. It's an enchantment, so it's more in here to support the Tatsunari package, but it can commit a crime in a pinch if we need to give an opponent's creature -1/-1. It's just kind of handy and has a bunch of useful modes on it. The Vampire's Kiss I like quite a bit. It reinforces our life draining theme, and those blood tokens can kind of help us cycle through our lands, since we don't really have a lot going on in terms of like utility lands or anything. We don't want a ton of basics, but I was trying to keep the price on this way down with just the Scoured Springs and basics. If you've got better lands, more duels, or the triomes that can cycle, or I mean, you can run whatever you want in here. Again, I was just trying to keep this budget friendly, but you can certainly upgrade it any number of ways. And then the last piece that I was just trying out was Lazav. Whenever you commit a crime, put a 1/1 counter on him, then you can exile a card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, he becomes a copy of it. So, cool trick that we never really had happen. You could have him become a copy of a puppeteer that was in your graveyard. And then if your opponent manages to kill him that turn, he'll go to the graveyard, but his own puppeteer trigger will let him return himself because he's a 3-mana creature. Never came up, but just kind of a neat, again, supporting figure here. Works well with our crime package, works well with our puppeteer, works well, we get to remove something with, I don't know, Infernal Grasp, and then that's a crime, and then he can become a copy of something, and just kind of a neat overall deck. I'm really happy with how this one worked out, and again, this is kind of a rough draft, but I think it's off to a good start. I'm going to keep refining it, and I invite you to experiment with it on your own. Let me know what you think of Crime Frog. This one was kind of inspired by Nicole, really. She suggested we go all in on the frog crime enchantment plan, and it worked. So that's what she does behind the scenes. She will encourage me to embrace weird, wacky ideas. And if that's something you like, hey, make sure you like the video and then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya.